So after 3 successive failures at major tournaments, do Spain have what it takes this time around? Golden age of Spanish success either side of the turn of the last decade has inevitably set the bar so high for all those who followed. Now with Sergio Ramos' omission and Sergio Busquets testing positive for COVID 8 days ago, Jordi Alba's the only man to feature tonight to have played in any of those 3 successful finals. Luis Enrique's named the youngest squad through necessity and persuaded Aymeric Laporte to switch allegiance from France. The makeup of that squad isn't what many Spanish supporters would have picked, but it could have been so different again. Enrique named 24 rather than 26 because he wanted a streamlined setup. Then he was forced to call up another 6 to be part of a so-called parallel squad with Busquets' failed test and that of Diego Llorente, causing mayhem to the preparation. Spain haven't had the monopoly on COVID problems. Sweden have now assimilated both Dejan Kulusevski and Matthias Svanberg back into the squad after they failed COVID tests themselves. And neither's available to play tonight, and the absence of Kulusevski is significant. Zlatan Ibrahimovic came out of international retirement to play in the tournament, but promptly injured his knee, so the goal-scoring burden falls on Swedish football's most expensive export, Alexander Isak, a player well known to Spanish fans after his 17 goals in La Liga for Real Sociedad this season. Sweden will bid to contain and counter, and their set-piece weaponry could prove potent, but their match with Poland would appear to be the more critical in terms of shaping their destiny at this tournament, with the Swedes buoyed by Slovakia's win against the Poles in St. Petersburg in today's tea-time game. Reminder of the 2 teams: Zulo Simon in goal for Spain, Marcos Llorente, Laporte, Pau Torres and Jordi Alba, Koke, Rodri and Pedri, Ferran Torres, Morata and Dani Olmo. Sweden: Olsen, Lustig, Lindelof, Danielsson, Augustinsson, Seb Larsson, Ekdal, Olsen and Forsberg, and then Berg and Isak up front. So, in the departure from their pre-tournament billing of the recent past, Spain find themselves cast in the roles of dark horses rather than big hitters. 3 tournament wins, 3 subsequent failures. But with Spanish football at a crossroads, which way will their road go in 2021? We're about to find out. It's going to be Sweden that will get the game underway. Both countries in their traditional colours, Sweden in all yellow, and Spain in the red shirts will defend the end away to the left-hand side as Matt and I look at these pictures from our studios here in London. 29 degrees in the shade in Seville tonight, and that may well be a major factor.
Absolutely, the 2 teams have tried to prepare as best they can for the conditions. I know that Spain have tried to train in the hottest weather, and Sweden yesterday actually trained in the midday sun as well, just to try and get them some sort of used to what they could expect in the stadium tonight. I think it's going to be difficult to play at a real high intensity. Spain will want to try and force the issue and try and press Sweden as high up the pitch as they possibly can. Sweden, they have to soak up a lot of pressure, I expect, through this game.
Well, just then when you think you've seen it all, the 2 teams out, the anthems delivered perfectly, the players out ready, but someone had forgotten to check that the goal nets were actually fixed correctly. So they were running repairs to the goal away to the right-hand side, and that means that the game's actually going to be about 2.5-3 minutes late in kicking off. But it has all been sorted now by Slavko Vincic, the Slovenian referee, and his team. And we're underway. Sweden in all yellow, kicking from right to left. Now an early touch of the ball for Danielsson, the centre-half, fired forward by him. And then as it came back to him, he was just given a little welcome to Spain by Alvaro Morata, who lent into him. But Spain working wide out to the left-hand touchline, working across the back line. Early touch for Aymeric Laporte. Laporte, who was once called up to the French squad, missed the game because of injury. Didier Deschamps then failed to pick him again, and so he's now declared for Spain last month, and it's just his 2nd cap for his country tonight. A little bit of stability at the heart of the Spanish defence coming into this game. Each of their last 6 matches had a different centre-half partnership. But Laporte And Pau Torres, the Europa League winner with Villarreal, just gives that little bit of continuity this time around, and it's Torres in possession now.
Unusual, actually, isn't it, to see two centre-halves left-footed. I wonder how that'll affect Spain through the course of this game.
Yes, Laporte is playing on the right of the two. Spain work it forward here. Appeals for an offside. The flag didn't come up. It's half cleared through the midfield, fired over the top by Jordi Alba, and then headed away easily on the Swedish left-hand side by Augustinsson. And he can now run it forward into his path and continue his run forward. Played into the feet of the blonde-haired Forsberg. Spain again able to get the ball away. And working in off the right-hand touchline with Ferran Torres, who was stopped in his tracks by Albin Ekdal. A free kick goes Spain's way inside their own half. 90 seconds in, it's Spain 0, Sweden 0 on TalkSport.
Heavy reliance on Emil Forsberg from a Swedish point of view to try and be that creative influence. He's been their best player in the couple of warm-up games against Armenia and Finland, and he'll have to play well tonight to try and break down this Spanish defence.
Yeah, he's a fine player, without a shadow of a doubt. So much depends on his pace, and Sweden will be happy to sit back and contain. We've talked about that. It is their ability on the counter-attack that they haven't always had in the past that might just make this slightly more successful for them. Getting to the knockout stages is a realistic aim for them. Getting to the quarter-finals would certainly be considered an above-par performance without a shadow of a doubt. That is something that they managed in the World Cup before getting on the wrong end of a Harry Maguire set piece. And Spain will be able to bring it forward here down their right flank. Ferran Torres swinging inside the penalty area where it was cleared for a corner by Lustig, who didn't get a shout from his goalkeeper seemingly, or didn't hear it if he did. He's figured out to play for a corner when there was no need to play the ball. But Sweden, as Spain broke forward, they had 9 back inside the penalty area, and that will be a constant theme.
9 back, and Spain only had 2 men in the box. Morata and Olmo. Wasn't the worst ball in from Ferran Torres, asking to be attacked. Olmo couldn't quite get on the end of it.
Pau Torres standing in front of the goalkeeper. It is hit in there, looking for a flick on. It hit a Spanish head and went high up in the air. It'll be brought down under control by Marcos Llorente, and then mopped up at the back by Jordi Alba. He finds Dani Olmo. Spain still near the edge of the centre circle, working back for Marcos Llorente again. Good movement off the ball came from Morata, but it had to be an instant pass. It wasn't forthcoming. And then Rodri, in the Busquets role, finds the prodigiously talented Pedri, a real favourite of Luis Enrique. Pedri playing forward here for Dani Olmo. Constant Spain possession, and that will be the way of it throughout. You can guarantee it. Irrespective of the scoreline, it will be Spain that will dominate it. Jordi Alba working it in. Morata with a little layup towards the edge of the penalty area where Pedri will pick it up and recycle it. Wasn't quite what they intended, but Llorente, the right back's able to take up station in a very advanced area around the edge of the penalty area. It's work back now for Laporte. Sweden have got everybody back. It is a 4-4-2 when they're out of possession, but they are all defending. It's 4-4-2-0-0 really.
Wasn't it Scotland that played 4-6-0 once upon a time?
Absolutely.
It's not far off that at the moment. It's noticeable actually how far Spain have pushed their full-backs on, particularly Jordi Alba down that left-hand side.
And that space is something that Sweden will be happy to cede to them. Dani Olmo's got it now. 5 yards on the left-hand side of the penalty area. He's played it back. Rodri in his yellow boots. Back for Pau Torres, another who's had a fantastic season for Spain. Played into the middle of midfield again for Alvaro Morata, who just dropped that little bit deeper this time. Now it's Marcos Llorente. Llorente shown inside by Forsberg. Then worked back by Pedri. Pedri to Pau Torres. Koke, who's now played more than 500 games for Atletico Madrid, just chipping it forward down the left-hand side of the penalty area. Fine cross in. The initial defensive header wasn't great from Danielson by any stretch of the imagination. He actually headed it into the danger area. It was then cleared and put out of play for another corner. But all Spain inside the opening 5 minutes of the game.
Too many Spanish players on their heels and not getting themselves into the 18-yard box. Jordi Alba's saying exactly that. It's a brilliant run by him. Got himself into the space and delivered the ball into the box, but too many Spanish players were still hovering on the edge of the box and not getting themselves in the danger area. It has been exactly the start that we expected. It's coming up to 6 minutes in. It's been all Spain. Sweden have hardly had a kick.
Well, the first corner was taken from the Spanish left. This one will be taken from the right-hand side. It's Koke with it. Delivered towards the penalty spot where Morata goes up for it. Not a clean contact. It broke on the edge of the box. Dani Olmo, though, leaning back. Couldn't keep his effort down. Fires it over the bar, out of play for a goal kick. Now we're 6 minutes in at 0-0 on TalkSport.
He's disappointed with himself, and I'm not surprised either, because he sets up really nicely. His first touch was excellent. He just put the ball into the space to get the shot away and just got underneath it. Straight away he turned and knew he should have done better.
Sweden have only beaten Spain 3 times in 15 meetings, most recently in qualifying for Euro 2008. The Spanish took 4 points off the Swedes in qualifying. They're going to actually meet again in the first World Cup qualifier next season. The last time round, Sweden led 1-0 going into the last minute, or Spain equalised, and then when the Swedes came back to Spain, there were 2 penalties in a 3-0 victory for the Spanish. Sweden did actually beat Spain in the World Cup back in the day, back in 1950. Most recently, they've met in a major tournament in Euro 2008 when Spain won it in the last minute with a David Villa goal in Innsbruck. Sweden get it away from the edge of their own penalty area again. I don't think they've had a single touch of the ball in Spanish territory. They could have done had they knocked it forward from the kickoff, but that's as close as they've got. It has been a rearguard action that Jan Andersson would have expected.
And I expected Sweden to be very deep and leave very little space in behind, but actually the 2 fullbacks have both found space in behind the Swedish defence. What's happening is that the 2 wider players for Spain, Olmo and Torres, aren't staying out wide. They're narrowing off, trying to get around Alvaro Morata, leaving that space for the 2 fullbacks to run into, and both of them have got forward well so far.
Sweden certainly do everything they can to protect the central areas of the pitch. They'll be happy to let Spain have the possession out wide. There's no real subtlety about the way Sweden do it, and because they know what to expect, it gives Luis Enrique the chance to pick a team and have tactics almost unique to this game as a result, and that's how they're trying to do it, by bringing the wingers in and trying to get an overload in the centre, and with a real burden of responsibility on the fullbacks to get forward, as you say. It's pinged in towards Morata, but he can expect to be sandwiched between Swedish defenders every time it's played into him. He was there, Augustinsson gets it away.
Yeah, essentially what Spain are trying to do is drag the fullbacks in. So if Torres and Olmo go central, they're trying to drag the fullbacks narrow, which leaves that space for the 2 fullbacks to run into.
Sweden in no hurry to restart play here with the throw.
This is incredibly deliberate from Sweden.
Not much.
Yeah, take 30-40 seconds over the throw in, just try and get a breather, because it's been tough for them so far.
Yeah, and try and do it early in the game when perhaps the officials aren't quite expecting it.
Well, it frustrates the opposition. You saw Luis Enrique get off the bench, remonstrate to the referee about Sweden and how long they were taking over that throw-in.
Earlier today, Scotland beaten by 2-0 in their first game of the tournament. A defeat to the Czech Republic, with Patrick Schick scoring in the minutes either side of half-time. Scotland next in action away to England Friday night, and we've got the game covered for you on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Build-up starts at 6. If you want your commentary with a Scottish flavour to it, TalkSport 2 is the venue for you. Spain in possession at the back. They're inside their own half, and that is a rarity. Aymeric Laporte just taking a touch, brings it forward towards halfway, knocks it square through the centre circle to Pau Torres. And Pedri darting forward as he played the ball into the feet there of Dani Olmo. The Spaniard was fouled by Mikael Lustig, and the free kick goes Spain's way about 20 yards outside the penalty area.
So gracious on the ball, Pedri. I love a midfield player who's got that ability to just drift and go past players with ease. He just drops his shoulder, and he's got that little turn of pace as well to get away from his opposite number. Looks a fabulous talent, only 18 years of age.
And already quite a few miles on the clock as well. Pedri, 52 games for Barcelona this season as an 18-year-old. Now what can they do from this free kick? Robin Olsen, who spent the season on loan at Everton, bobbing up and down inside the 6-yard box. It's hit into a dangerous area, but well dealt with by Danielsson, the shaven-headed centre-half. Then heads it away again, the second time of asking. Sweden will try and bring it out, just nodded forward by the veteran Marcus Berg. Sweden forced to lay it back down towards their own corner flag in a bid to try and retain possession. Seb Larsson whacks it away. They just can't get out, Sweden. No chance of getting out. We talked about their ability on the counter-attack, maybe from set pieces, but you need possession to be able to get any set pieces, and you just need a kick of the ball somewhere near halfway if you're going to ever be able to launch a counter-attack.
In fairness, there's been a good intensity about Spain when they've lost it, though, as well. And it hasn't been often, because they've kept the ball brilliantly, but when they have lost the ball, as soon as they've lost it, they've gone bang, let's go and get it back as quickly as possible and put Sweden under pressure. They're tired from having chasing the ball and not getting anywhere near it, and therefore give the ball away cheaply again.
Possession at the moment is 89-11 in Spain's favour. It is 0-0.
I'm surprised it's not more.
It feels like it could be 93-94, doesn't it? That's just the temperature. Here's Pau Torres playing it forward. Sweden having to do a lot of chasing. That could be a major factor. The game kicking off 9 o'clock local time, but as we mentioned at kick-off, they were talking about the shade temperature being 29, which is what, 84 Fahrenheit. Ball played down the right-hand side of the penalty area. Good ball in towards Morata. No offside flag up against him. Danielsson, who blocked the initial cross, is then back on his feet quickly enough to flick it away. But Morata's presence and harrying forced Danielsson to concede the throw, which will be taken down by the corner flag. It is still 0-0, and still Spain yet to have a shot on target.
He thought it was fouled, actually, Alvaro Morata. It's Torres again, Ferran Torres on this right-hand side, who's delivered 2 really good balls into the box now.
Marcus Llorente, the right back, playing it back for Rodri. Rodri to Laporte. Laporte to Pau Torres, and Pau Torres will go all the way back to his goalkeeper. I think that is the first touch of the night for Unai Simon, the Athletic Bilbao stopper. First choice for them for the last couple of seasons, and starting a 6 successive competitive international, now ahead of David De Gea in the pecking order. And it's Brighton's Robert Sanchez who's the third choice keeper, ahead of Kepa Arrizabalaga, who's the keeper that was called up for the parallel squad but has been let go again. Here's Marcus Llorente, crossfield ball right across the edge of the penalty area, but Sweden able to mop up with Larsson, and then it'll be played for by Olsen, and he's tried what is now known as the Patrick Schick, and he didn't pull it off. He's tried it from 70 yards from goal, and he's just passed it all the way back to the Spanish keeper.
Does that count as a shot?
Almost.
I'm sure it was a pass over the top, looking for a runner.
It was either a very poor shot or a very poor pass. He split the difference between the pair of them.
I think it was the latter. I think it was a poor pass, but they've not had a kick, have they? It's been totally dominant displayed by Spain. The only criticism you'd have is that they've not exactly filled the box. You know, there's a couple of times they've got themselves into really good positions, and Morata's the only one in there as the target. They've got to get runners from midfield at times as well, runners beyond.
Petri goes back for Laporte, who's in possession, and finds Pau Torres, who turns neatly, tries to get away from Marcus Berg and succeeds. Now Pedri's got it again. Player who started his career with Las Palmas, and now played forward by Laporte. Down to the right-hand side of midfield. Ferran Torres. And an excellent first season for Manchester City. Has scored 5 goals in 5 games for Spain, or 5 in his last 5 for Spain, should I say, including a hat-trick against Germany and a 6-0 win, which did show that this young Spanish side have the pedigree to be able to impress at a major tournament. Certainly don't expect it will be 6-0 tonight, on the basis that Germany played into Spain's hands that day and just left themselves so open for a counter-attack. Now it's fired inside the area, and it's a wonderful save from Robin Olsen. Dani Olmo coming onto it. There were 2 attacking it. It was Olmo that got the touch, powering a header down towards the bottom right-hand corner, and Robin Olsen had to be so alert, strong left hand to it, and was able to divert it round the post. That's a really good save.
Well, that's better in terms of getting numbers and bodies into the box. I mean, Sweden have got so many men behind the ball, but you can't allow Koke to have that time on the ball to deliver the cross.
Corner taken short. Pedri to Jordi Alba, who's ball inside the penalty area, is headed away. And headed away easily by Victor Lindelof.
Great save, wasn't it, from Robin Olsen, though? Really was a good save. Down to his left, he got a good hand on it. First sighter on goal.
Yeah, he was the first choice keeper of the World Cup. He kept 3 clean sheets in his 5 games in that tournament. And we've got a few who have played at a major tournament. Spain, on the other hand, haven't really. It's been such an extensive overhaul of the squad. It is a squad that on average is 2 years younger than the one that Lopetegui picked for the last World Cup. There's 6 players in it who are aged 23 or under. Here's Laporte. He's one of the ones that isn't 23 or under, but doesn't have the international experience, having only made his debut against Portugal 10 days ago. Ball worked forward here through the midfield for Alvaro Morata, who again has dropped deep. Now Dani Olmo picking it up. The hype of energy on that left-hand side. Another good ball swung in, and the defensive header was assured from Augustinsson at the far post. But the officials have spotted an infringement, and it's going to be a free kick to Sweden to restart play. It is 0-0 on TalkSport. We're 17 minutes in.
It's not usually associated with Spain by getting the ball out wide and putting crosses into the box, but it's what we've seen has been their biggest threat so far in this game. They've delivered some really teasing balls into the area. Danny almost come closest to scoring. A fabulous save from Robin Olsen. There's a lot of teams would struggle to play like Sweden are. They not have a kick of the ball, they get frustrated, but they're used to it. They're quite happy playing this way. They I think came into this understanding that this would be the case, that Spain would have all the ball, they'd have to soak up the pressure, and they're a team that are adept at coping with that pressure in that system.
Yeah, it'll be very different in the other 2 games in the group. And the other result today, if you're just joining us, Poland 1, Slovakia 2. Krakowiak sent off in that game at 1-1. Slovakia had taken the lead. Poland equalised early in the second half, and Slovakia ended up winning it with a great goal from Skriniar. 2-1 victory that leaves them top of the group at the moment. Spain will expect to be top of the group at the end of the night. It's 0-0 at the moment. Jim Proudfoot and Matt Holland talking through the action. The game taking place at La Cartuja in Seville, which is the ground that held the 2003 UEFA Cup final. Celtic fans will remember. Here's Marcus Llorente playing it forward down the right-hand side of the penalty area for Spain, but Augustinsson is there to clear. Picked up in the midfield by Rodri. Rodri working to Jordi Alba, who is judged to have handled it. I think it's hard done by there because it was a poor first touch that just flicked up and hit his arm. But the referee has given Sweden the free kick, and if they can take 15 minutes over it, they will. It's 0-0. We're 19 minutes in. I'm guessing I've got time before they take this free kick to tell you what's coming up tomorrow, which is Hungary-Portugal and France-Germany. Some double bill that. Hungary-Portugal at 5 o'clock here on TalkSport with Alvin alongside Adam Bridge, and then Max with Ian Danter tomorrow night for France-Germany. Both of those games live for you tomorrow here on TalkSport, where we've got UEFA Euro 2020 coming. Here's Pau Torres bringing the ball forward over the halfway line for Spain, and he'll play it out towards Jordi Alba, and he'll go straight back again inside his own half. And now Laporte, and still possession, even 19 minutes into the game, is 90% in Spain's favour. They'll bring it forward here. Morata just dropping off, couldn't get on the end of the cute little backheel flick, which was the intention of Pedri. And in the end, Spain give a free kick away for a foul on Albin Ekdal. There have been plenty of speculation. Ekdal wouldn't make it today. He has been carrying a knot, but he's another that's very experienced, has played more than 250 games in Serie A in Italy. Player was on the books of Sampdoria and has played in their last 8 games at major tournaments. And Ekdal, critical really to that defensive effort in the midfield, playing in there alongside Christopher Olsen today, the Krasnodar player. That means that Seb Larsson, who has been playing in the central midfield, is able to go back to his favoured position on the right of the midfield 4. Ball's back for Unai Simon, the Spanish goalkeeper. Takes a touch inside his own penalty area, worked out towards Jordi Alba, and then a miscue from Rodri, and Sweden are going to have a throw midway inside Spain's half. And that's the cue for Jan Anderson to get off the bench and applaud his players.
First time we've seen them try and squeeze Spain. They've been so comfortable playing it around at the back. Torres and Laporte just easily getting themselves into an advanced position. First time, and it's taken them over 20 minutes for them to try and squeeze the pitch.
This is as close as they're going to get to a set-piece opportunity, or certainly as close as they've got so far. It's going to be a long throw from Lindelof. This is the kind of chance that if they're going to get a positive result tonight, you feel Sweden have to take. It's held in by Lindelof towards the near post, looking for the Danielsson flick on. Wasn't forthcoming. It was clear towards the edge of the area, and Forsberg well off target, high over the bar. A disappointing effort from the Leipzig player, and it's still 0-0 thanks to that spectacular Robin Olsen save to deny Danny Olmo.
I wasn't sure that, I was unaware that Victor Lindelof had a long throw on him. It wasn't the worst effort. It was a poor effort from Forsberg on the follow-up, but Lindelof's throw got itself into a decent area.
Spain have been beaten this season. They lost to Ukraine in the Nations League. It's their only defeat in 24 coming into this game. And you go further back, it's actually only 3 defeats in 53. And they say that they're a country in transition at a crossroads. Ball played aside the penalty area, appeals for an offside against Danny Olmo, and it's embraced towards the edge of the box. Shot across the face of goal is only a fraction wide. Really well struck by Koke, who's never scored for his country in 51 appearances. He wasn't too far away then.
No, he's come very close. I talked about midfield players breaking the lines, getting themselves into the box. He tried to play a little 1-2 with Jordi Alba. It didn't come off, but the ricochet came back into his path. He cut across it, so it was always going wide of the post, but it wasn't too far away.
Koke clapped his hands in frustration. Spain continuing to have the chances. 1 on target so far, all they've had. We're a quarter of the way through. It's 0-0 in Seville. Matt Holland alongside me, Jim Proudfoot, watching the game from our studios in London. Mark Saggers in the chair. Marc Llorente able to bring the ball forward. Down the Spanish right-hand side, towards halfway and very quickly over the halfway line. Spain just able to venture into Swedish territory almost at will. It was a poor touch from Ferran Torres that gave the ball away. Sweden have it with Marcus Berend, but he's lost it straight away. And Llorente will play it forward towards Koke. Back from him to Rodri, and Rodri goes back inside his own half of Pau Torres.
Right, what's the longest combination of passes that Sweden have had so far?
Well, literally 3.
That, I think, was it. About 3 passes. I said that about Spain, how they're playing nice football, keeping possession, but when they lose it, there is a real desire to get it back quickly. You saw there, Forsberg picked the ball up. It was at such intensity, 3 or 4 shirts around them. They've done it again now, and actually Sweden have got a few passes in at last.
Well, prior to that particular move, the latest stats we had, accurate passes from Sweden in the game in 22 minutes, 20. Spain have had 220. But it is still 0-0.
It is still 0-0, and they've given it away again. It's another free kick. They've done that quite a bit, Sweden, as well. Tried to disrupt Spain by bringing players down.
Here's Marcus Llorente, right-hand side of the penalty area. Chance to pick somebody out, and it's an excellent sliding clearance from Christopher Olsen. And puts it behind for a corner. He just hurt the top of his head in the process, but on that occasion Marcus Llorente was able to get in. That was the fullback getting forward, making the most of the space that Ferran Torres created for him. Playing it back inside the penalty area, and it needed to be a good sliding chance from Christopher Olsen to get it away.
Fullbacks for Spain have been a real threat. Got themselves right to the byline for those cutbacks for the advancing players, and this time it was Ferran Torres, but Christopher Olsen got himself into a terrific position for a central midfield player. Helped his back four out brilliantly.
Yeah, he's okay without the need for treatment. It's Pedri on corner duty. He's got the option of a short one again. It's Koke is standing with him. And he's just worked it short for it. Koke firing it in deep towards the far post. It's a Swedish head that wins it. And now an opportunity for Seb Larsson to play it for the man who played more than 200 games for both Birmingham and Sunderland. He's worked it wide for Olsen, who lost it just for a moment. Lustig with the chance to bring it away and was more than happy to buy the free kick, which will be taken about 20 yards inside the Swedish half. It's 0-0 with 25 minutes gone.
I thought you were going to say it's going to be taken about 20 minutes time. And it's about right, isn't it? With the, they're taking their time over everything. I I've been in teams where you played against better sides, you know you're going to struggle, you know you're going to find it difficult because the opposition can have a lot of the ball, and the manager said, look, every time the ball goes dead, just walk to it, take your time, get a breather, try and take the sting out of the crowd. It's something we haven't said for a while because supporters haven't been allowed in stadiums. It's so good that supporters are back and involved at this Euros, so you try and take the sting out of the atmosphere.
About 15,000 in tonight. That was the expectation in the stadium that holds 60,000. They replaced Bilbao as a venue. Spain have played on this ground 7 times in the past, most recently actually back in March, where they beat Kosovo. One of only 5 wins they've had in the last 11 games. A disappointing build-up in many ways to the tournament. A few extenuating circumstances in there as well. They've played well tonight without having the real cutting edge in front of goal. Here's Ferran Torres, back towards Koke. Rodri slightly misplaces a pass for Pau Torres, who's forced to retrace his steps out towards the left-hand touchline. That's allowed Sweden the chance to get out, but they don't get out too far. The goalkeeper comes out and keeps himself interested by just acting as the conduit in that passing move between the two centre-halves. Laporte then plays it down to the Spanish right for Koke. And it's back for Pau Torres again. Pau Torres just works it forward into the feet of Pedri. Ball retention very easy for Spain until they get to within about 15 yards of the edge of the Swedish penalty area. All Sweden are doing really is shuffling across, paying lip service of putting the pressure on. There's no intensity in any kind of press. Spain work it forward out to the left-hand side again. 0-0 here on TalkSport. 27 minutes gone. 4 shots to 1 in Spain's favour, although Sweden's attempt was the worst of the ones that we've seen tonight. But Spain just having the 1 on target so far, which was a really good Dani Olmo header and an even better save from Robin Olsen. Here's Pedri. Dark, thick-set player on the left-hand side of the midfield 3. It's a little bit too much on the through ball there. And it goes out of play for a throw that will be taken in the Swedish right-back position. Spain 0, Sweden 0, and here's Matt Holland.
You've got to look at the two managers actually to see how they're feeling. Luis Enrique, cool as you like, sat on an ice box, very happy with what he's seen so far. Janne Andersson, he's got a bottle of water in his hand, he's frustrated, he's agitated. He won't be happy with what he's seen at all. I mean, look, he'd be happy that they've restricted Spain to very few chances, but they've hardly had a kick.
Dani Olmo playing it in, and that was another great chance for Koke. The Swedish defence let him run, and they haven't had too many third-man runs because they haven't had the room to work them. That time, though, he's pushed forward from midfield. And as the back 4 have stood pretty much in a line, he's been able to split the lines, come onto it, and he should have scored. It's only 9 yards out. And he's fired it from a central area over the bar by about 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah, he should have done a lot better because he saw that all the way. Despite the bodies in the box that Sweden had, he had a clear run, saw it all the way, came onto it perfectly, and just got the shot all wrong. He has, of the 3 midfield players, looked to get in the box, looked to break the lines and get himself into a goal-scoring position.
But he still waits for his first international goal. Now here's Albin Ekdal. He's way too wide for Lustig. Lustig back inside his own half, picked up there by Lindelof, wearing 3 for his country. And he goes back to his goalkeeper, who whacks it forward long, just out of harm's way. We're talking about the two managers who are both optimistically dressed in white shirts tonight, where I think the weather and the stakes being as high as they are will mean that their deodorant gets a pretty good road test this evening on those white shirts.
Yeah, the sweat will show.
No sweat as far as Luis Enrique is concerned at the moment. Returned to the helm after family tragedy back in November 2019. A man who played in 3 World Cups, played in Euro 96 as well. Back from Llorente, and here's Laporte. It's 0-0. We played half an hour.
I can't remember watching too many games when I've seen such dominance of possession. We've seen Man City do it in the Premier League. Numerous occasions have 80% of the ball. This is up near the 90% mark. I mean, this is incredible what we've seen so far.
Here's Llorente. Ferran Torres on the right-hand side. Cuts inside the initial challenge. Augustinsson able to half force him away. He'll come back to the left-hand side of the penalty area. Low-driven cross. Dani Olmo trying to get a flick. Got far too heavy a contact on it. And he goes out of play for a goal kick that will be taken by Robin Olsen. It's 0-0. Lots been made of the absence of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So you could have 5 Zlatan Ibrahimovic's playing for Sweden tonight, they wouldn't have had a kick. So his absence isn't going to be heartfelt tonight. And actually, a lot of people in Sweden have talked about the fact that just maybe without the principal star and everybody else being cast in such a supporting role, might bring the best out of some of the others with him not being there.
Possibly. I mean, look, when he was first selected to come back to the national team, it was done on merit. It's not like it's not like he wasn't. You know, he's playing well. He's having a good season. So it's a shame from that side of it that you're losing such a crucial player, and he is such a talent. We know that, but he was having a very good season. He was only brought back because of his performances on the pitch.
Yeah, I think it's probably the Swedish, the natural optimistic aura that they have about them, that they were looking for the good in it in the absence of Ibrahimovic, who's missing with a knee problem, which is why he hasn't been able to take his place in this squad. But this Sweden side have only conceded 1 goal in 2021, and they're into a 9th hour now in that run. They shipped one against Armenia in the last game, which was a 3-1 victory, but it's the only one they've conceded in 482 minutes of football. Ball played forward. Oh, flick round the corner brilliantly, but Robin Olsen was off his line very quickly. Marcus Llorente did well. He took on Don Jelson, just nudged it one side of him. So centre-half slid in. He could run round the back of him, but then Robin Olsen read the script and got there to save at his feet.
Yeah, 2 club teammates combining. KK to Llorente. Lovely through ball.
Koke and Llorente, 2 players on the books of Atletico Madrid as they've won the league title again this year under Diego Simeone. I wonder what Simeone makes of Sweden's performance, because he's a man that admires work done off the ball and not necessarily all about the flair. He's never set up his side quite like this, mind. Sweden still struggling to get any form of a kick. 84-16 the current possession stats. Sweden's accurate passes in the game now into the low 40s compared to Spain's been in the 300s. I mean, they could be setting records tonight in terms of passes, but the bottom line is that it is 0-0, and so it's job well done from Sweden, because they're just trying to frustrate, and the game plan is working effectively, albeit that they've just had 1 or 2 nervy moments.
I get that, but I'm not sure you can sustain that for
not in this league. Not
for 90 minutes without the ball. What they've got to be better at is keeping it when they win it. And I said that Spain are pressing them high and pressing them when they lose the ball, and they've been very good at that. But Sweden have got to have the quality to get a few passes in, because this is relentless.
Dani Olmo coming off the left-hand touchline. I don't think an awful lot actually would change if Spain were to score. I think Sweden would still sit in there, and they will look at it on the basis that they would expect all 3 teams in the group to lose to Spain. So if you only lose 1-0, you've had the best result against them, or potentially you would end up with the best result against them. Sweden incidentally play Slovakia next in St. Petersburg. Have some air miles. Then they've got Poland in Russia, the last game, which is a week Wednesday. And both of those matches live for you on TalkSport. Spain next in action in Seville against Poland. That's on Saturday, and then they finish the group. They'll expect to qualify by the time they take on Slovakia again in Seville week Wednesday. It's Marcus Berg inside his opponent's half, and he's turned it back. He's just flicked it, and it's hit Jordi Alba and gone out of play. It's another opportunity for a Lindelof throw, and the Swedish contingent in the crowd are on their feet in fine voice. Yellow and blue wigs aplenty. Somebody's made a little bit of money selling those. Now this free kick, this throw, I beg your pardon, on the edge of the penalty area, an opportunity to get the bodies for it. I don't know that Isak has had a touch so far. space in there as well. It's actually thrown down the line for Seb Larsson. Larsson hooking his right foot underneath it, and it's an awkward one for the goalkeeper. Unai Simon, he wasn't going to go in, but he wasn't sure who was where around him, so he's tipped it over his bar and out of play for a corner. And if Sweden, you feel, are going to stand any chance of getting a positive result tonight, this has got to count.
Yeah, set pieces, we always felt that was the case, where they might have their most joy. Seb Larsson didn't need a second invitation, half a yard, cannot deliver. It wasn't the best ball into the box, and Simon took no chances.
So Forsberg, blonde-haired Swedish midfielder, taking the corner in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It hit a Swedish player, then comes back in from Albin Ekdal, and it's cleared, and Spain win a free kick as they're coming together on the edge of the penalty area. It was an easy decision for Slavko Vincic, the referee, to make. Just a half chance. It's all about the quality of the near post flick as it comes in. It wasn't as good as it might have been, and then it broke for Ekdal on the edge of the penalty area. He had an initial shot that was blocked, and then he has fouled Ferran Torres to give Spain a free kick on the edge of their own box, which they've taken slightly more quickly than Sweden retaking theirs. We're 8 minutes from half time. Spain 0, Sweden 0 here on TalkSport with Jim Proud and the former Ireland World Cup midfielder Matt Holland alongside. All played by Laporte. Over the halfway line and into Swedish territory again. Another opportunity for Jordi Alba to make his way forward. Much more conservative haircut for this tournament than he's had for some previous ones. Man who scored in the Euro 2012 final, Jordi Alba. 380 games for Barcelona behind him. He's playing his 18th game at a major tournament for Spain, and 11 of those have come in the Euros. Talking of scoring in Euro 2012, Seb Larsson did that as well. Oh, a terrible mistake at the back, and he's going to be punished. No, he's put it wide. What a chance for Morata. And for all the world you felt he was going to score, it was Danielsson with the error, and Morata all of a sudden had the ball at his feet, in behind him, 12 yards from goal. He had time, but he didn't keep his nerve, and he's put it wide.
Well, tried to play Morata over the top. I think it's Jordi Alba. Morata didn't really react at all. Eventually he did go and try and put Danielsson under pressure, and he just missed the ball. Opened up for him, goalkeeper to beat. It's a poor finish. It ends up 2 or 3 yards wide of the post. Olsen's very quick off his line. Give credit to the goalkeeper. He made it more difficult for Morata, but really he should still be scoring.
Now the other end, Alexander Isak for Sweden. Just coming in off the right touchline, took 2 or 3 neat touches, but has given it away. Spain will be able to build again. But Morata, who scored 3 goals in 4 games at the last European Championships, and who averages nearly a goal every other game for Spain, really should have scored then, and that was a 24-carat chance. In the context of this game, where opportunities are relatively few and far between, he should have scored. 20 goals this season, back on loan at Juventus. You feel that had he been playing for Juventus there and the stakes were slightly lower, he would have put it away easily. Now a chance for Ferran Torres, which is routine for Robin Olsen, who can just make a collapsing save diving forward onto the ball. And it's 0-0, 6 minutes to go. 6 minutes to go in the first half. Dani Olmo with a header that was well saved by Olsen, and Morata missing the best chance of the game.
They should be ahead, Spain. You know, it's been an excellent performance actually from them. I think they've been very good. Kept the ball well. There's been an intensity about them without the ball. They've pressured Sweden to give it back to them quickly. Created chances. Yes, the best chance came from a mistake. And Morata, when through on goal with Olsen to beat, he should be scoring. But I think it's been a good display from Spain so far.
Marcus Llorente sends a crossfield ball out to the left flank, where Jordi Alba takes a couple of steps back and controls it. And now he will play it forward for Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo near the corner of the penalty area. Sweden thought they got Morata offside, and the assistant referee agrees. Free kick for Sweden. Spain, the only nation to ever successfully defend this trophy, and nobody's won it more. Germany have also won it 3 times. Well, they were beaten in the round of 16 last time out by Italy, have in fact lost their last 2 matches in the European Championship finals. They were beaten in that game by Italy and also by Croatia in the final group game that time around. They've never lost 3 in a row in this tournament. Not too many signs that it's going to happen this time round either. But it is still goalless. Clearly a much better result for Sweden than it would be for Spain. Now it's flicked over the top and Isak is in. Right hand side of the penalty area. Isak still has it and he's left the defender on the ground. He then hit a right-footed shot which Marcus Llorente tried to clear off the line and he kicked it onto the post and it ricochets into the hands of the goalkeeper.
What a let-off for Spain. I mean, that's Sweden's game plan in a nutshell. Defend, be resolute, be compact, be patient, be concentrated. When the opportunity arises, can we hurt them going the other way? And Isak very nearly did. It was Laporte who was scrambling on the floor. He did get his shot away. It hit Llorente against the post and fell kindly into Simon's arms.
Well, nobody would argue that Spain deserved that little bit of luck because they've been so superior. But they could easily have been 1-0 down. And it was a huge slice of luck because it was a poor attempt at a clearance from Marcus Llorente and he so nearly just passed it straight into his own net.
Well, it came at him so quickly, it just hit him. Could have gone anywhere. Could have gone absolutely anywhere. Luckily for him, it came crashing off the post and into his goalkeeper's own hands.
Spain bringing forward again. That will have got the pulses racing on the Spanish bench, but still 0-0 with 3 minutes from half-time. Pau Torres is bringing the ball forward into the heart of the midfield. That just shows how lively Isak can be. I mean, he'll be disappointed he didn't put it away. He'd rather sit Laporte down. Ball played in towards Morata. Morata chipping it inside the box to the left-hand edge of the penalty area for Jordi Alba. Was that a handball by Seb Larsson? Just wonder whether the VAR might have a look at that. Spain continue. Any real discernible appeals, actually. Back from Koke to the edge of the penalty area for Marcus Llorente. Llorente to Rodri. And to Koke again. Koke firing it in past Augustinsson. He's back in the side after injury, replacing Bengtsson at left back. In it comes again, followed away easily by Victor Lindelof. Isak will chase after it. He's just keeping Pau Torres honest, and Torres has been able to play it up the left-hand touchline on the turn, effectively playing through the press, and they've just got a little bit more space this time. Dani Olmo now, taking on Lustig, the right back. Olmo inside the penalty area, poor layoff in behind Koke, who again is the midfielder making those runs forward, and it was cleared by Forsberg. Now a shot comes in from the edge of the penalty area, which deflects away and out for a Spanish corner. First they've had for a while. 90 seconds from half-time at 0-0.
My first reaction was that it did hit Larsson on the arm. Seeing it again, it does, but it came at him very, very, very quickly and from a very short distance, and it looked like he dragged his arm to his side, so there's absolutely no way it was a penalty. You can understand why Spain's protests were not long and not determined.
So fifth corner for Spain. Right-footed in, swinging delivery. I thought Olsen was going to catch that. It was very easy for him, but taking any chances, he's punched it away. It's a good punch as well. He got it to within 10 yards of the halfway line. Spain will bring it back again with Dani Olmo from distance. Good save, and the loose ball will squirt wide. Danielson puts it away for a throw. Well, Olsen making the save, but they were racing onto it very quickly. It was Laporte who was the furthest forward, couldn't quite react quickly enough. Danielson cleared his lines. In he comes again, looking for Laporte. Half cleared by Danielson. Llorente right inside of the area. Round the first change, stayed on his feet when perhaps some others wouldn't. Sweden get it away. Isak can't bring it too far clear. It's fouled Rodri, and it's a free kick to Spain, 20 yards outside the Swedish penalty area.
Well, that Swedish chance has stung Spain into action. There's been an uplift in the intensity in the last 5 minutes or so. Since they hit the post, it's been all Spain and at a pace as well. The ball's going dead, they're picking it up, they're going again. Tell us that another good save from distance, and he nearly made a bit of a mess of it. Olsen diving away to his left, he puffs out his cheeks, he knows he got away with one.
I think the ball moving more than he thought as he was trying to flick it to the left-hand side of the goal, and it, instead of hitting his fingers, it hit the palm of his hand and came back into a central area. Well, Well, the free kick's 20 yards outside the box. Koke standing over it. We're in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Sweden giving a very high line. 2 yards outside the penalty area. Headed away by Danielsson. And it will go out to the Spanish left-hand touchline. Won't be too much time to be added on. Spain still have it. And there's the confirmation. Just the 1 extra minute at the end of this first half. We're already halfway through it. Koke working through the midfield. Marcos Llorente will turn. You and I both admire as a Pedri, but Spain haven't been able to get him into possession really in the last 20-25 minutes. They haven't seen the best of the 18-year-old on this is tournament debut. There's the ball worked down towards Jordi Alba. His is the last touch of the first half, in which Sweden have actually come the closest to scoring. With Alexander Isak's effort that was cleared by Marcos Llorente onto the post, but it's been all Spain. The definition of one-way traffic. Robin Olsen single-handedly keeping Sweden in the game. Half-time, it is Spain 0, Sweden 0. How'd you follow that? Sweden coming out for the second half in their all yellow. No sign of any changes so far. Spain already out their red shirts with the yellow detailing and the dark blue shorts. Spain with Unai Simon in goal. Marcos Llorente, Laporte, Pau Torres, Jordi Alba, the back four. First time they play together. Koke, Rodri, Pedri in midfield. And Ferran Torres, Morata and Dani Olmo are the forward three. And Luis Enrique still sitting on his ice bucket. Still looking relatively calm and composed. Jan Anderson is opposite number, pacing up and down. Sweden lining up Olsen in goal, Lustig, Lindelof, Danielsson, Augustinsson the back four, Seb Larsson, Ekdal, Olsen and Forsberg in midfield, and then Marcus Berg and Isak, who's missed the only Sweden chance up front. We're underway for the second period. It's live on TalkSport. Matt Holland, former Republic of Ireland World Cup goal scorer, alongside me, Jim Proudfoot. And we're watching from our studios in London, the game taking place at La Cartuja in Spain. Spain's possession in the first half, 84%. 9 shots to 3 in their favour, but only 3 on target, and 2 of those were very late in the half. Sweden with the opportunity to have had a little bit of a breather and a cool down. The night beginning to fall. It is, 10 local time, so the conditions will be that little bit easier for them, but only a little bit, I'm sure. And there'll be plenty of chasing to go on in the second half as well. Mikael Lustig's just given a free kick away. And it's a free kick that Spain are taking quickly with Jordi Alba. Koke laying it back for Laporte. Now forward for Pedri. 18-year-old in his white boots, a slightly awkward angular running style. Just plays it forward towards Jordi Alba, who controls it. Dani Olmo then trying to slip it in. Lindelof read it well. Lindelof then made the decision to leave it for one of his teammates to be able to get away. Lustig just got between the ball and Morata, and he was fouled, and it's a free kick which will be taken by Sweden on the edge of their own penalty area. We're a minute into the second half on TalkSport, and it is still 0-0.
Dani Olmo a little frustrated with himself. He got himself into that position that I talked about that Spain have struggled to get into. That gap between the midfield and the back four, should I say. Got himself on the half turn, tried to play Morata in, got his pass all wrong, but he's actually been very bright. I think he's been excellent and has caused Sweden a lot of problems. These two teams, of course, know each other very well. They qualified from the same group for this tournament. They're in the same World Cup qualification group as well, so they're going to get to know each other pretty well anyway.
And those European qualification games were a while ago. I suppose they were last season rather than this season, but Sweden nearly beat Spain. I mean, you have to remember that. It was only a 90th minute equaliser from Rodrigo to cancel out Marcus Berg's opener, but it got Spain a point in that. They're a tough nut to crack, and Spain have stripped off a couple of layers of the shell, but no more than that. No way through so far. Can't see the fruit. Here's Isak. Isak turning, very neat. It's great ball retention of the Real Sociedad player there, who has won a free kick. Well, Isak was a player that left Swedish football when he was only 17 or 18. most expensive export ever from his country. He was voted Young Player of the Year in La Liga after his 17 goals for Real Sociedad this season. So they know what he's all about. They know what he can do, and he has had some moments but hasn't been able to take the one chance that came his way. He's won this free kick. Seb Larsson standing over it. Sweden making a rare opportunity to get bodies forward. They've got 6 or 7 to attack it. Spain keeping ultra highlights into space. It bounces inside the penalty area. Worked back across, or he should have been worked back across, and he's completely missed his kick. The Swedish player involved, it was Lustig, who's right-footed, the right back. He's trying to wrap his left foot around it to play it back across the edge of the 6-yard box. And he's let the ball tackle him.
Well, we know Seb Larsson's a fantastic free kick taker. It's a lovely delivery into the box. I would question whether he's onside or not. I mean, Spain did keep a very high line, and he looked as though he should be offside. It was a glorious position he found himself in, and got it horribly wrong. Kicked it from his left foot onto his right. I would say that VAR would have had a close check on that.
Spain had possession, and they got it with Pedri. Pedri seeing that little bit more of the ball in the start of the second half. It'll be played for. Now Morata just broke to him, and he's fired it wide. It came to him initially, and he didn't control it particularly neatly. Danielson didn't either, and it just broke back for Morata around the edge of the penalty area, but he couldn't hit the target.
I'll tell you what, he should be hitting the target. That's twice now he's dragged right-footed shots to the wrong side of the post. It's not a clear opportunity, but he should be hitting the target and making the goalkeeper work.
He has got a couple of international goals this season, netted against Germany, but they all did. And netted against Greece as well. Spain coming into this on the back of 3 wins in 4, although that does include the victory for the under-21s against Lithuania, when the under-21s had to take the place of the full international side. I saw that game, they were excellent that night. And there are some fantastically talented young Spaniards coming through, and there's no surprise in saying that, but there's like Brahim Diaz, who used to be at Manchester City, has certainly got a fine future, you think, at international level. And the Spain under-21s beat Lithuania's full side 4-0, and it could have been 8 or 9, and they missed a penalty. And if they'd had a prolific striker in that team, which was the one weakness of it, you think that it would have been an absolute humiliation for Lithuania. But this current Spanish side is still much younger than many that have preceded it. Can't find a way through tonight in Seville. It's 0-0, 5.5 minutes gone. The darkness has fallen on the southern Spanish city now, and Pau Torres is in possession.
What I would say is Sweden actually have been a bit better at the start of this second half. They have tried to push on a bit higher up the pitch. In some ways that might suit Spain. You know, if Sweden are going to start vacating their defensive positions, it'll leave a bit more space for Spain to try and exploit.
Spain have got possession. It's just played down the right-hand side of the field now towards Marcus Llorente. I'm led to believe this is a performance that isn't going down very well in Sweden, despite the scoreline at the moment. The ball is played towards the edge of the penalty area. Jordi Alba firing it in. It's a header away from Lindelof, and Seb Larsson misses his kick, goes out of playing for a Spanish throw. It's felt almost since the first whistle that there's a huge sense of inevitability about this. But Spain still can't find a way through. As things stand at the moment, you'd have to feel 4-0 Spain's more likely than 0-0, but Dani Olmo will play this, taking a deflection off Lindelof. Augustinsson and Danielson come across. It was the latter that got it away, the big shaven-headed centre-half. Jordi Alba lays it back for Pedri. Pedri twisting, turning, taking it down towards the touchline, getting the better of Christopher Olsen. Then Morata lays it back. It goes towards halfway. Play forward by Pau Torres. And now an opportunity for Spain to bring it forward and utilise the width again. It's Marcus Llorente. Right-footed blue boot, fires it forward, but didn't get the elevation. And it hit Augustinsson. Comes back to him, faced up by Forsberg, who has not had an opportunity to show his attacking capability in any shape or form at all. Right-footed ball fired inside the box now for Spain. Olmo chasing after it. Straight through for Robin Olsen. 0-0. 7 gone second half on TalkSport.
A really frustrating evening for Forsberg. He doesn't want to be doing this. He doesn't want to be sat in a 4-4-2, just getting himself back into shape and sitting in and trying to be defensive. He wants to get on the ball, create things. And actually, I've just noticed the last couple of times that Sweden have tried to get on the pitch, he has vacated that left-hand side. He's tried to get in alongside Isak and Berg and tried to get on the ball, but he's incredibly frustrated in the way this game has developed.
Sweden have got the ball forward again, and it's another opportunity for a long throw. Lindelof, slightly north of an amble, but not much, makes his way forward. Picks up the ball, dries his hands from sweat on his yellow shirt, now dries the ball on the inside of his shirt. They will have practiced these ad nauseum. He's actually worked it short. Played in towards Christopher Olsen. His ball fired deep. Isak, it hits him, bounces back inside the area. Isak might have been able to survive a poor first touch and get a decent second one in, but it was taken off his toes by one of his teammates. Sweden work it back towards halfway. Now back for Lindelof. Is he going to go all the way back to his goalkeeper? No, he's gone instead to his left-hand side for Augustinsson. He will work it down the line. Marcus Berg has chased everything and nothing tonight, if you see what I mean. He's done everything for the cause, had next to no joy and hardly had a touch of the ball. Lustig's done well to win it back from Dani Olmo. He'll take it down the right-hand touchline, and then Olmo comes back. And he goes out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Swedish right-hand side again, midway inside the Spanish half. 9 gone second half. Spain 0, Sweden 0.
He just went down holding his knee for a minute there, Lustig. Looks like he's okay to continue. He was about to take the throw-in and then started to throw the ball away, wait for Lindelof to come up and take it. He's been booked for his troubles, for time wasting. And that's something that we've seen right from the first minute. Sweden trying to take time out of the game.
Okay, who had 54 minutes in the sweep then for the first yellow card for time wasting for Sweden? Lindelof. Throwing it inside the penalty area, little flick as Danielsson was leaning back into Jordi Alba, and the free kick has gone Spain's way.
I didn't have 54 minutes in the
I think I had 4. There was a little push by Rodri. Danielsson found himself sandwiched between the two Spanish players, but was deemed the aggressor. And Spain will be able to bring the ball out from the back. Sweden have come into this in good form. I talked about their solid defensive record, and that has been the platform for them winning 5 in a row coming into tonight. Now that's 5 in a row for the first time in 8 years. The last one 6 out of 6 in 2010. They have scored in the last 7 games, but opportunities very much at a premium for them tonight. Jordi Alba fires in a cross, which was blocked at source by Lustig. He's had a very solid game. Mikael Lustig at right back, one of the players who still plays his domestic football in Sweden. He plays for AIK. He's gone back there after so much success, 8 titles in all in his Celtic days. Spain have it deep with Laporte. 4 from him to Llorente. Llorente working it forward into the feet of Ferran Torres. Back for Laporte again. And Koke, slightly awkward control, but he got there to maintain possession ahead of Isak. Now played out towards Ferran Torres. What can the Manchester City winger do? He's got Forsberg and Augustinsson doubling up in front of him. Works it back, a little bit of space created, but then the run wasn't forthcoming. It's a good touch from Morata, the idea was right. Koke making the run down the right-hand side of the penalty area. Had he gone, would have gone in, but he didn't go, and Sweden are able to pick up possession, literally, in the form of Robin Olsen. 56 gone, 0-0.
They're not quite as dominant at the start of the second half, Spain. It's been a more even half. And I still think they're having the majority of it, having more of the ball than Sweden are. But Sweden has been definitely a conscious effort. You know, Sags asked the question, what do you think they can do? I said they need to get themselves up the pitch. The back four need to try and squeeze the midfield on. I think they've definitely done that.
Yeah, Sweden have had nearly 20% second half, so they are on the up. I just wonder whether part of it is a Luis Enrique tactic. Look, we can't break them down. We haven't been able to break them down. We haven't been able to create the chances. Let's just give them a little glimmer of hope. try and persuade them to have the ball upfield a little bit more, then they'll come out of their shape and we might be able to find more space on the transition.
Yeah, suck them on. Let them out at times. They have tried to press high up the pitch, maybe by just dropping off Spain and trying to get Sweden into their own half, into the Spanish half. Might just leave a bit of space for them on the counter. I wonder how long it is before he makes a change as well, Luis Enrique. I just wondered, Gerard Moreno, I was surprised he didn't start the game. Someone who's been in such good form this season as well. I don't think it'd be too long before he makes an alteration.
Now, he's been the top scoring Spaniard in La Liga this season. 32 goals for club and country. Scored against Manchester United in the Europa League final and has netted a couple for Spain against Switzerland and Kosovo over the course of this campaign. Left on the bench today, had a good qualifying campaign as well, 3-3. Spain will bring it forward, play it out to the left-hand side for Jordi Alba, who's just coming back for Pedri. Pedri controlling it. Down for Jordi Alba again. Spain venturing forward towards the edge of the Swedish penalty area. Pedri infield towards Rodri. Back for Pau Torres and square to Laporte. Laporte then works it forward up the right-hand touchline. Marcus Llorente back for Koke. Koke to the stretching Ferran Torres, who got a good touch on it to keep it alive. Intelligent chip from Pedri. Jordi Alba left-hand side of the penalty area. Spain still trying to find a breakthrough. His cross was a poor one. Larson did well. And although Morata stopped it going out of play for a goal kick, he has ended up conceding possession. It's a throw to Sweden, level with the edge of their own box.
I don't know about you, but just looking at the pitch doesn't look brilliant. I'd say it looks quite bobbly at times, and I think that's even more credit actually to Spain, the way they've been able to manoeuvre the ball and pass the ball as cleanly as they have done throughout this game, because the surface doesn't look easy.
Yeah, you with your trained eye looking for excuses for Jordi Alba. That spotted it first time around. I saw it on the replay that he's been mugged by the bounce as he's tried to get that cross in. It's just leapt up. He's kicked through where the ball was going to be, and it just was 6 inches higher. As a result, the chance had quickly gone. Pedri has it though, the left-hand side of the midfield for Spain, and Dani Olmo knocks it away from Christopher Olsen. Back for Pau Torres. Still 0-0. And we've played an hour. The result earlier today in this group, 2-1 Slovakia beat Poland. Jordi Alba, left-hand side of the penalty area for Spain. Trying to dink it in, it hits Sepp Larsson, bounces back down on the edge of the box for Alba. Isak's back defending. Sweden will try and bring it away. Ekdal turning it forward. Nice touch for Isak. Isak's got it through. Marcus Berg's got to be offside here. Flag has stayed down for now. Forsberg down towards Isak. Isak edge of the penalty area. 3 Spanish players around him denying the space. He's tipped on his way through the first 2, and he put it on a plate for Marcus Berg, who has missed 4 yards out, and he's put it 2 yards wide. I'm absolutely convinced he was offside in the build-up, but nevertheless, that's a stunning miss.
Well, he was under a little bit of pressure from Laporte, and that's the only thing I can say about it. Isak did absolutely brilliantly, surrounded by Spanish defenders, 3 or 4 around him, but he just manoeuvred the ball, dragged it back into the path of Berg, and couldn't get his shot on target. I'm with you. I'm sure he was offside in the build-up. He looked offside. He's not the quickest, and he looked 2 or 3 yards the other side of that Spanish back line. But they allowed play to continue. VAR, of course, would have gone back and had a look. It might have saved his blushes, but what a miss, 6 yards out.
Well, he's in his 3rd major tournament, Marcus Berg, and he's never scored. Played in Euro 2016 and in the last World Cup as well. He did score against Spain in qualifying. 12 goals this season, including 2 in the Champions League for Krasnodar. He's just left there. He's gone back to Swedish football to sign for IFK Gothenburg. Larsson clearing his lines. It's gone straight out of play for a throw. We talked about Sweden needing to acclimatise to the hot conditions. Worth pointing out, I guess, they got the highest average age of any squad in the tournament. They also had the highest average age in qualifying, so of all 55 European teams, an average age well over 28. And England, by comparison, have an average age of the entire squad of 24 and a bit. Well, the starting lineup the other day was older than that. So you can imagine that Sweden will wilt, and they don't really have the strength in depth to be able to bring players of sufficient quality on to replace these. Enrique does, and he's warming some up, the likes of Thiago Alcantara. In fact, he's just being summoned back to the bench by the look of it. I think they'll make a change, and I bet you it's for Pedri. 62 gone, it's 0-0. Yeah,
I think you're probably right. Just on Sweden, though, Isak, either side of half-time, just showing one or two glimpses of what he's capable of. You know, we saw him, or his shot, should I say, come off Llorente and crash against the post at the end of the first half, and then that run that set up Berg at the start of the second half. There's just one or two glimpses of what he's capable of.
Spain have the ball midway inside the Swedish half. It's 0-0 on TalkSport. We're 18 minutes into this second period with me, Jim Proudfoot, alongside Matt Hollis.
Spain have the ball. You've said that a few times tonight.
And even when I haven't been saying it, it's still been true. Pedri. Now Spain have the ball, lays it back to Pau Torres, and just back behind square. I think I'll be saying it was sleep. It's going to become something like a verbal tick. So many hundreds of passes from the Spanish. Sepp Larsson can bring it down now, and Spain don't have the ball. Ekdal. Now towards Isak, and Isak will take it on towards the halfway line. Oh, it's a great injection of pace, and he darted between two Spanish players. Laporte then, under duress, has just used his physical strength to be able to get possession back from Isak. He only looks pretty slightly built. I mean, he's a tall man, Alexander Isak, but he's 6'3", not built like many 6'3" men. But boy, is he strong, and Laporte did well there.
Looks a little ungainly at times, and you wonder how he gets through some of the challenges that he does. He gets away from people when you think really he should be dispossessed, but he's been a threat actually, and certainly, as I say, just at the back end of the first half and into this second period.
Koke playing it out towards the right-hand touchline where the cross comes in. Ferran Torres' effort is beaten away. Morata is lost control of it right on the dead ball line. Goes out of play for a goal kick. Spain about to make a double change. And Thiago Alcantara is one of the players that is coming on. Let me remind you what's coming up on TalkSport tomorrow. Just the two games in the Euros tomorrow. We've got them both for you. Hungary against Portugal kicks off at 5 with Natalie Sawyer, Adam Bridge and Alvin Martin, followed by Matt alongside Dance and Sachs for France-Germany, taking place in Munich tomorrow night. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Wednesday sees Wales back in action, and that's the tea time game, a 5 o'clock kickoff as Wales meet Turkey. Nigel Adderley, Dean Saunders and Hugh Rosencroft live from the stadium in Baku. And either side of that is Finland, Russia over on 2, Italy, Switzerland on TalkSport. And a reminder, if you needed one, Friday night, England, Scotland on TalkSport and TalkSport 2, depending on who you want to win. Build-up starts at 6 on both channels. We've played 65 minutes tonight. Spain 0, Sweden 0, and the match that we're concentrating on, taking place in Seville. Matt alongside me watching from our monitors in London. And Rodri has come off Thiago Alcantara on to replace him.
He's also taken off Alvaro Morata
and brought Sarabia on.
Yeah, and it looks like he's put Ferran Torres now up through the middle. Seen him do that for Man City too. It could affect this season.
Larsson plays the ball forward just away from Forsberg, and it'll be knocked away on the edge of the D by Marcus Llorente. A little bit more space beginning to come Spain's way now, but they're still yet to be able to make the most of it. Haven't had quite as much possession in the second half as we've been saying. The pertinent point is that the limited possession Sweden have had has been in better areas, and probably play has been concentrated about 10-15 yards further upfield for Sweden than it was in the first half, and that's been reflected in the shot count. That first period was 9-3 in Spain's favour. Second period, they've only had one shot so far, have the Spanish, and we're 22 minutes in. Sweden are preparing a double change, and it's going to be Klaassen and Quaison who are going to be coming on. Here's Thiago laying into his left-hand side. Thiago Alcantara, son of a former World Cup winner. Ball played down the left-hand touchline to Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo to Jordi Alba, back for Pedri. Now Jordi Alba again, the most experienced man in the Spanish starting lineup tonight, with 73 caps to his name. Played out towards Marcus Llorente, whose right-footed ball is volleyed away. Headed back into the fray. Lindelof can half clear it. Brought down by Jordi Alba. Couldn't get it onto his left foot. Dani Olmo snatches at a right-footed volley, and after Larsson's clearance finds it, it only goes wide. Sweden will make the change. They're bound to be one of the players coming off. Quaison will come on for him, and we'll find out who Klaassen's going to be coming on for very shortly. But this change being made midway through the second half, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, it's not been as dominant from Spain in the second period. I thought the first half they were excellent. Second half less so. It's been much better from Sweden. They've definitely pushed up the pitch further, had a bit more possession. A couple of changes now as well, just to introduce some fresh legs. They feel as though the longer the game goes on, they're starting to gradually find their way into it. Might play into Spain's hands, a bit more space for them to try and counter, especially now with Thiago on the pitch. He's got so much time in midfield that he's got the ability to pick a pass. Really surprised at this substitution. Isak being dragged off. I think he's been the one threat, hasn't he? You know, you'd think that turnover of possession, and can they get someone away? Isak's been that man. I'm surprised they've taken him off.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that they're just trying to keep an eye on his workload, because he's the match winner in the Swedish side, that they want him to be absolutely as fit as possible for the two games that are coming up. On the basis that maybe they now think that they're not going to win this one and not even going to have a sniff of a chance. So what they've done, they've put Quaison up front, and they've gone to a 4-4-1-1 really. Klaassen will play not quite up front alongside, and he'll just drop into the number 10 role. Quaison certainly is the player with the pace. Jordi Alba has possession here for Spain. He's worked it back inside the centre circle for Pau Torres. He finds Aymeric Laporte towards the right-hand side for Marcus Llorente. Only just over 20 minutes now for Spain to find a winner. Otherwise, they will be joint second in the group tonight. Slovakia leading the way after their surprise 2-1 win against the Poland side, who had Krychowiak sent off and lost their way after that. Thiago Alcantara taking the free kick. In fact, he just passed it back. Laporte then put his hand on the ball and took it and stopped the ball so that the free kick could be taken from the right place. Spain trying to work it forward. Ferran Torres has done well. He's got the better of Olsen. Left-footed effort hit Lindelof on the edge of the penalty area. And then Quaison's back to knock it away. Klaassen will chase after him. Klaassen, certainly of the two substitutes, he's the Marcus Berg of the two that have come on, isn't he? He's a tall, barrel-chested striker that certainly doesn't have the pace of the younger man who's joined him. Robin Quaison plays his club football in Mainz and has scored against France and Finland this season. Actually scored in every team that he faced in qualifying except for Spain. Whereas Klaassen, who started all 5 games in the last World Cup invariably as a winger, is being asked to play in a more central role tonight. It's 0-0, 20 minutes to go on Talk Sport.
You mentioned there the Swedish substitution. Just on the Spanish ones, you just wonder about Gerard Moreno, whether he's picked up an injury or not. The fact that he's not brought him on, maybe. And I guess taking Rodri off as well means that less protection when they're going forward. You know, with Thiago now as the holding midfield player, he's not someone that can do that, or perhaps not as diligent in the defensive side of the game as Rodri when they turn the ball over.
Pedri playing the ball out towards the Spanish left-hand side for Dani Olmo. Level the edge of the penalty area, he's pulled it back for Pedri again. Pedri to Pau Torres, and then back down the touchline. Sweden knock it away. I don't think it's going to take an awful lot of ammunition for a few to get on the back of Luis Enrique. I think in the grand scheme of things, with Poland losing earlier today, there will be a big stick to beat Luis Enrique with if you want to, in the Spanish media. But this isn't, in terms of the group, this isn't a shocking result really, because Sweden may well finish second now. You can hold them to a 0-0 draw, then okay, it's a disappointment, and it's been a disappointing second half performance from Spain, but it isn't the end of the world. I'm not sure that they'll all see it like that, Mike. Here's Jordi Alba, and they haven't got the draw yet. It could easily end up with all 3 points. Here inside the penalty area, Sarabia, good twist and turn from him, but not such a good delivery. Christopher Olsen knocks it away. And as far as Marcus Llorente, Sarabia must have got to get back onside. Koke wasn't sure, so he controlled it anyway. Now Sarabia's got it. Oh, it's a clever ball, great invention. Left-footed clip inside the box. Play back for Dani Olmo. Right-footed effort, blocked by Danielson. And the goalkeeper will get on the end of it and make the save. That was brilliant invention from Sarabia. Just that little potency that they've been lacking for 25 minutes or so.
Terrific. A little flick over the top, and it's another run from the fullback. Llorente getting himself right to the byline. Does well to keep it in, actually. And the Swedish players were claiming that it had gone over the byline. It should have been a goal kick. Wasn't given. And Olmo got a couple of chances in this game. Got his strike away. It's a very decent strike as well. Danielson made a good block. Lustig down again. He had a sore knee about 10 minutes ago. Now it looks like he's holding his groin. Not sure he'll be able to continue.
Well, here's your man. Gerrard is coming on. Dani Olmo and Ferran Torres, the 2 Spanish players coming off. And Gerard Moreno, the Villarreal striker, makes his way on. And Mikel Oyarzabal of Real Sociedad, who scored against the Swedes in qualifying, comes on as well. So those are changes 3 and 4 from Luis Enrique, and many Spain fans listening will say, about time too.
Yeah, I think you get to the stage of the game now where actually fresh legs can have a big impact on the game. You know, it's hot, it's tiring. They've had a lot of the ball, they've passed it around nicely. It's not quite happened for them, but there's just over 15 minutes left in the game. Fresh legs might make the difference.
So he's now changed the entire front 3 that he started with, Ferran Torres, Morata and Dani Olmo. And he's replaced them with Oyarzabal, Sarabia and Gerrard. Lustig's race is run, and ominously for Sweden, not just for tonight, but potentially for the next couple of games as well, maybe, if that's a serious groin problem. Lustig is being led away, and Emil Kraft, the Newcastle defender, who's the backup right back, is the man who's going to come on. He's only had 1 start in major tournament football in the past. That was against England in the World Cup quarter-final 3 years ago. 40 appearances for Newcastle over the last couple of seasons, and he comes on for the final 15 minutes tonight. Robin Olsen, the Swedish goalkeeper, applauds out of gratitude as Spain returned possession to Sweden. It had been put out so Lustig could receive treatment. Changes made, 15 to go, Spain 0, Sweden 0, Matt Holland.
Yeah, I mean, it's still very much in the balance.
Gerrard chasing here after a poor goal kick. Danielson got back and covered and headed it away from Gerrard back to his goalkeeper.
I thought he was in the game for a minute, then nearly another mistake at the heart of the defence of Sweden. We saw one in the first half when it allowed Alvaro Morata to get free and go one-on-one with Robin Olsen. He wasn't able to capitalise on that. Gerard Moreno just got himself the wrong side again. They were able to scramble clear.
Ball's out of play for a Spanish throw. And if you're a Spain supporter or backer, I think that probably time's ticking down pretty quick for you. 15 minutes to go now. Still 0-0. And still in the second half, the attempts have been few and far between. Spain haven't had an attempt on target since right at the end of the first half. Ball's out for a throw that Emil Kraft will be in no hurry to take. Luis Enrique acting as the ball boy for him. Kraft just acclimatising himself to who is where. Shuffles forward a yard or two, throws it forward. Over the head of Klaassen. Quaison will try and bring it down. Klaassen knocks it on. Quaison will take it down towards the touchline and then run out of room. And then Jordi Alba's done well because he's nutmegged Klaassen on the way back out. And he's opened it up by working it wide to the Spanish right-hand side for Marcus Llorente. And now Laporte can play it even further out towards the touchline. Sarabia has looked really lively since coming on. Back for Thiago Alcantara, the Liverpool man, working wide out towards Jordi Alba. Spain haven't really been able to switch the play too frequently. They're trying to do so there. It's half cleared. Thiago as well gets the better of Quaison, and his efforts are applauded by the locals in the crowd. Back out towards the Spanish right-hand side though. 0-0 with 13 to go. Llorente to Koke, Sarabi just making a run in towards the edge of the penalty area. Koke, though, has worked it straight back to the fullback again. Now it goes back for Pau Torres.
For a minute there, it was a back 8 for Sweden.
Here's Pedri making his way forward, flicked inside the penalty area, and then it's cleared by Danielson. Yeah, for a minute it was a back 8, then they got back into shape and it was a back 9. Here's Pau Torres. You wouldn't want to watch this every week. If you're a Sweden fan, I understand why they get frustrated with it. But we talked about it in the build-up. We knew exactly what to expect. You can't try and out-football Spain if you're Sweden with the players they've got. And at the moment, Jan Anderson's game plan is being executed pretty much to perfection. Danielson heads it away. Goes out towards Marcus Llorente, right-hand side of the area. Sweden getting forced back and back now. High ball inside the box. Robin Olsen's come out, punched it clear. Beats it away from Gerard Moreno, who's coming in trying to get there. Pedri has it on the left-hand touchline. He works it back for Pau Torres again. And they're deliberately going back to the defenders that little bit more now, trying to draw Quaison and Klaassen onto them to create more space for Koke, who's drifting out to the right-hand side, and Thiago infield.
Not been tempted though, have they? This is a good spell for Spain at the moment, forcing Sweden on the back foot. Everyone within 22 yards of their own goal.
Gerard for Koke. Koke, it's a nice ball, just a contagious scoop with the outside of the right boot, square to his left-hand side. Jordi Alba, strong challenge comes in from Christopher Olsen. Pedri stayed down hurt, and play stops so that the 18-year-old can have treatment administered to him. The Slovenian referee quick to call both trainers on, as Christopher Olsen's got a problem with cramp. Understandable, I think, at this stage of the game on such a hot night with the amount of ground they've had to cover. It was an impact problem for Pedri, and he's going to be okay, I think, but he's also being attended to. We're 11 minutes from time. Spain 0, Sweden 0 on TalkSport.
Yeah, it's kitchen sink time if you're Spain. Last 10 minutes, try and dominate, try and keep Sweden pinned in. They've been struggling to penetrate Sweden, getting behind them. There's been a lot of sideways passing the last 5-10 minutes or so. It's gone from side to side, full-back to full-back, using the centre-halves as well. As you said, trying to drag Sweden out of shape, but they're not being tempted. They're just keeping themselves in that low block the whole time.
Well, Christopher Olsen is struggling here. And he's got pain etched all across his face as he's having that right leg stretched out. They've ready to substitute Pierre Bengtsson, the Copenhagen defender, who's another veteran in his mid-30s now. He will be coming on. He's a left back, really, so I don't know how they will shuffle things around to accommodate his arrival, whether they will go to a 5 or whether they'll just stick him on in midfield. Bengtsson's just getting his final instructions. 5 fingers up from his coach Jan Andersson, but I think that's 5 fingers in that just don't worry, relax, as opposed to we're going with a back 5. But they're now calling somebody else over. So Bengtsson was ready. Has he come on? Yes, he has come on. I think he's come on. TV director hasn't shown us conclusively either way. Maybe they're hoping that they will yet to be able to get just a few more hard yards out of Christopher Olsen. In fact, he is now coming back onto the field, so the change yet to be made. The Sweden poised to make a different one in a moment. Quaison almost able to win the ball back in the midfield. Spain have it. We're 9 minutes from time. A little bit of time to be added on in this second half, though. Probably 13 minutes of playing time to go, I would guess. Spain need to find a breakthrough. Thiago Alcantara finding Pedri. Pedri, word down the left-hand side. Back he comes from Jordi Alba, back for Pedri again. Pedri faced up by Klaassen. Klaassen, who's sitting that little bit deeper now, played in towards Jordi Alba. Opportunity to turn. And he's fired across the edge of the 6-yard box and half cleared and then whacked away by Forsberg. That was better from Spain, getting Mikel into it, but he still couldn't supply the poke across. Goalkeeper Unai Simon, who I know we haven't mentioned in this second half, comes across to take a throw, gets Spain going again, and the one-way traffic continues. Spain now being able to force Sweden back, and back they are on the ropes. High ball from Thiago Alcantara's a really poor pass, goes out of play for a Swedish throw, and it's one that they will take on the left-hand side. 8 to go, 0-0.
Well, when Mikel picked that ball up, was about 4 Swedish players around him. None of them could make a challenge. They were really tempted to try and make a tackle, but it would have been very dangerous inside the penalty box. He was able to then get possession of the ball and whip it across the box. It's been good pressure from Spain the last 10 minutes or so. They are forcing Sweden back.
Well, there's another break in play because Christopher Olsen is receiving more treatment, and I think they will now make the change, and Bengtsson will come on for him. And during that break, Emerick Laporte is changing his socks. Sweden are going to make a double change, because if they don't make 2 now, this is the 3rd juncture within the second half that they're making changes, so they have to make 2. And it's Karius, the midfielder, who's going to come on. Just the 5th cap for him. He will replace Olsen. So that's pretty much a straight swap in midfield, Jens Karius. And Bengtsson will come on as well, and who will he replace? Will it be Forsberg? Yes, it is. He's made his way out towards the far touchline. So Bengtsson for Forsberg. So a midfielder, white midfielder, off a defender on. But I think he will play left midfield just as an auxiliary left back for the time that remains. That's the position that he's gone out to. 6 to go with 4 or 5 minutes to be added on top of that at 0-0. Sweden have played their hand now. Spain haven't quite. Larson trying to slide the ball away. Spain working back into their own half, but only for a moment. It's Laporte that finds Pau Torres. And in his own half of the centre circle, it's played down the left-hand touchline for the sliding challenge of Jordi Alba. It's gone out of play off Seb Larsson, and be a throw which will be taken on the Spanish left. And Fabian Ruiz, who's their final substitute, is going to be coming on in a moment. That's Spain's final change. 6 to go, 0-0. Koke. As attack against defence exercises go, sometimes they can be hideous to watch. This has actually been very entertaining. But if you're a Spanish fan, that won't hide or dilute the frustration. And Sweden still one good set piece away from an absolute mugging of Spain here. Ball inside the area from Gerrard. Flashes across the edge of the 6-yard box. No one can get there. Sarabia not busting the gut to do so. Don Jelson able to clear his lines.
What a ball that was. Such a dangerous ball. Didn't even think about it. Half a yard, delivered the ball. I think the subs have made a difference for Spain. There's definitely been more intensity about their play since he made those changes.
Perhaps not quite enough of a difference though. Jordi Alba to Pedri. Pedri clipping it in. Haven't got Sarabia, who's looked really lively. They haven't got him in possession frequently enough.
And I think the frustrating point from Luis Enrique would be that they've not tested Robin Olsen enough. You know, for all the play that they've had and the dominance on the ball and the positions that they've got themselves into, they've not tested the goalkeeper anywhere near enough.
Yeah, second half to have had 87% of the ball and not had a shot on target. I mean, that is something that Luis Enrique will be deeply unhappy about. Expected goals is something that you can either take it or leave it. I appreciate that a lot of people think that it matters not a job, but expected goals second half. Spain 0.2 with 87% possession. Sweden 0.7 with 13%. Here's Pedri. Pedri to the left-hand side. It is a performance really that has highlighted Spain's weaknesses. Jordi Alba plays it forward. And then he goes back for Thiago. Thiago down to the left-hand touchline again. And still Spain trying to be patient. Mikel working it back for Pedri. Good movement inside the penalty area. Good judgment by Lindelof. And Larson turns away and then uses his experience to dangle out a leg and make sure that contact was made with Sarabia, and as soon as it was, he threw himself to the ground. It's a free kick to Sweden in their right back position, and we're in the 87th minute at 0-0.
Well, Spain have got some technically gifted players. What Luis Enrique doesn't have is a Xavi or an Iniesta. How he'd die for one of those two to be in his starting lineup or in his team, able to pick a pass.
Well, Spain made the final change. That's what we were talking about at half-time. Fabian Ruiz on for Koke. And in fairness to Sweden, They saw where the problem was and where the Spanish chances were being created with those third-man runs forward to pick up loose ball around the edge of the area, and they just stopped it happening. And those chances that were falling Koke's way in the first half just didn't do so after half-time. It's 0-0. 3 to go. Pedri back for Thiago. Thiago goes out towards the right-hand side of the midfield area for Marcos Llorente. Only the two centre-halves back for Spain. Everybody forward now, and everybody back for Sweden. Although they've turned over possession here. Quaison tried to make his way forward, didn't get too far. It'll then be cleared down the Swedish left. Pau Torres is on the end of that. Play forward from him to Pedri. And a roar of expectation from the Spanish fans as they try and build again. That's a better ball. Swept out towards the left-hand side for Jordi Alba. Back in field for him. Larson in the right place at the right time. He's defending on the right-hand side now of what is all the time a Swedish back six. I mean, they're not trying to get the wide midfielders forward at all. It is six, a line of six. Larson on the right-hand side of that line of six got it away. Back he comes for Thiago now. 2 to go. Right-footed ball over the top. You win TalkSport. It's 0-0. Spain unable to beat down this huge yellow brick wall standing in front of them. Fabian Ruiz. Air flowing. It's down to his right-hand side. Gets the return ball from Sarabia. Thiago rescues a slightly misdirected ball. Knocked it away from Klaassen. Chipped over the top by Pedri. Jordi Alba, first time ball inside the penalty area. Don Janssen with the challenge, got the touch. Flag up though against Gerrard. It's a free kick for offside. And Sweden are 90 seconds away from the 90 minutes being up.
I think it might be Jordi Alba that was in the offside position. I think that's why the flag went up. I'll have another look actually on the replay, and he's about 2 yards onside. But that's why the decision was made.
Was bundled wide at the near post anyway. Free kick taken. Worked long. Quaison was gambling on perhaps a slightly poor defensive header from Laporte. It wasn't forthcoming. Then Callister's in there trying to win it back from Pau Torres. Thiago Alcantara with a poor ball. He smacked it straight in the back of Fabian Ruiz. Marcos Llorente tries to rescue it. Bengtsson will do his best to take it on down the Swedish left. It'll be cleared though by Laporte. Back out towards Llorente. Has that gone out of play for a throw? No. It's a close run thing. Some of the ball over the line, but not all of it. Spain switch it from the right touchline out to the left. 25 seconds to go. And we're guessing 4 minutes. Pau Torres, I beg your pardon. Forward through the midfield. Sweden still regimented, keeping the shape very tight behind the ball. Left-footed ball swinging. Gerard Moreno! Great save from Olsen. Kicked it away on the line. That was the chance. Flying header. Good save. Great football all round, and it stays 0-0.
He's been so bright and lively since he came on, Gerard. I can't believe he didn't come on sooner. He'd have been my first substitution.
Now a shot from the edge of the penalty area isn't forthcoming. It's a good ball instead for Jordi Alba. Chipped inside the box. Lindelof heads it away. 6 additional minutes. And the ball is in the hands of Swedish goalkeeper Robin Olsen, who certainly played his part in keeping this at 0-0.
Well, he's made some really big saves today. One in the first half from an all-nose header. I mean, he really should be scoring, got to say. Excellent ball in from Sarabia. Gerrard gets there in between the two centre-halves. Olsen saves with his feet. Glorious opportunity for Spain to take the lead late on in the game.
Yes, Sarabia played against Portugal 10 days ago. That was his first cap for 18 months. He's probably done enough, I would think, in this cameo to start next time out. Spain taking on Poland in Seville on Saturday. Huge match now if they've only got 1 point between them going into it, and that is the way of it as things stand. But every Swedish fan will reflect on previous games against Spain where they've conceded late on, and they don't here, but just came to Gerard Moreno, right hand side of the box, and a left-footed effort goes across the face of goal and wide. When you think back to the group stage of Euro 2008, 1-1 going into stoppage time. David Villa scored the winner in Innsbruck after Zlatan had equalised Fernando Torres' opener. And then in the match on Swedish soil between these two in qualifying, they scored in stoppage time with Rodrigo cancelling out Marcus Berg's opener. Is it going to be another stoppage time goal for Spain? We're in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Plenty of time wasting going on for Robin Olsen, but given the hurry up from the referee, he just got the ball upfield before he'd sufficiently tested his patience to earn a yellow card. Just the 1 yellow card for time wasting tonight. So far, Pedri. Play forward towards Mikel. Back from the left-hand touchline for Jordi Alba. Pedri has it again. 20 yards outside the penalty area. Sliced ball slightly backwards of square. Picked up by Llorente. And now worked forward into the feet of Fabio Ruiz. Llorente again. Pau Torres. Pedri. Left-footed ball clipped forward. Here's Jordi Alba. This might be the chance. Flying header. And it has hit Sarabia and gone into the hands of the goalkeeper. He couldn't adjust the trajectory of his run in time. It literally hit him and rolls towards goal, and the keeper will gratefully dive on it. But all the Spanish attacks now coming down the left-hand side. String of decent delivery from Jordi Alba, but they can't make one pay.
I'll tell you what, Gerard Moreno is absolutely screaming for a penalty. Danielson looked like he had a bit of an arm of Gerard Moreno, dragged him to the ground. When the ball fell into Robin Olsen's hands, he turned straight away to the referee and said that should be a penalty.
Well, Bastian Danker is the VAR in Nyon in Switzerland, a German official, and didn't think there was a case to answer. Not a clear and obvious error. Spain bring it forward again. Just chip it into the penalty area. Robin Olsen very gratefully falls upon it. We've played 93 and a half minutes on TalkSport, and it's still Spain 0, Sweden 0. Sweden hit the post in the first half. They've hardly had a sight of goal. Hardly had a touch of the ball inside the Spanish half over the whole game. Possession 85-15. That's going to, I would imagine, be a Euros record. But Spain haven't done enough with it. 4 shots on target in 90 minutes when you've had 87% possession. Here's Thiago getting the better of Seb Larsson. Still time. And foul by Larsson in the midfield. Referee plays the advantage. Spain happy with Laporte. Laporte back for Pau Torres. Now play forward for Pedri. Sweden trying to keep their discipline, trying to get the legs pumping for just another couple of minutes. Jordi Alba back for Mikel, inside the area, chance to deliver a cross, and it is blocked. Out of play for a corner, which remarkably is the first corner that Spain have won in this second half. It hit Emil Kraft. Sweden's principal attacking weapon is the set piece, but can Spain win it with one in the 6th minute of stoppage time? Thiago Alcantara stands over it. Pau Torres is in there. Laporte is in there. Mikel in there as well. High ball swept towards the penalty spot, headed down. Is that taking a touch off the Swedish player last? No, it's gone wide. Out of play off Gerard for a goal kick, and that might just about be that.
Yeah, it might. I guess the hero really from a Sweden point of view is going to be the goalkeeper, Robin Olsen. He's made 3 or 4 big saves. Even the chance that Morata had when he went through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, he was very quick off his line, Robin Olsen, to try and narrow the angle, to try and make it more difficult for Alvaro Morata.
Spain with one last chance potentially. Jordi Alba riding the challenge of Klaassen. Laid back through the midfield, and an opportunity, one last chance to bring it forward. Fabian Ruiz driving it forward towards the right-hand touchline. Left-footed ball swung inside the penalty area. Lindelof with the important header away. Kalous gets it further clear. His is the last touch. Swedish players celebrate. They barely got the energy to do so, but that is a massive point for them. And Luis Enrique puts on his red mask and walks away in frustration. Swedish players giving everything. Spain had all the ball, almost all the chances, but didn't have the potency to break down Swedish grit and resolution. And Spain can't find a way through, and Sweden start with a positive result. Spain start with frustration. Den största rånet någonsin, they will be saying in Stockholm tonight. The biggest mugging ever, but they don't care. Spain 0, Sweden 0.